Jonon Wroblevski has coached 13 seasons in the USHL, ECHL, and AHL. He got his coaching start at USA Hockey's National Team Development Program in 2007 for 3 seasons as an assistant coach under the current Nashville Predators head coach John Hynes. John then moved to the pro ranks and spent the next 8 years coaching in the USHL, AHL, and ECHL, where in 2012 he was awarded the ECHL Coach of the Year award. He came full circle back to USA Hockey's National Team Development Program in 2016, and in the past 4 seasons, his USA teams have won 33 straight international games. He has 7 international medals with his U18 and U17 teams from the IIHF Championships. While with USA Hockey, he has been the head coach of 13 NHL first-round picks. Today, John is going to be speaking to us at the NHLCA Global Coaches Clinic on line rush theory, execution, and implementation of the NTDP 2001 class. Hi, John. It's great to have you here with all of us today. I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Lindsay. It's an honor to be involved here with the NHL Coaches Association, sandwiched around some tremendous coaches and hockey minds. And it really was an awesome class to work with, this 2001 group. And we were trying to figure out the best way to familiarize people with the class didn't have prior knowledge to this group. And we thought the best way was to have a highlight video narrated by our play-by-play announcer, Pete Krupski. So here goes that.
The 2001 age group set a standard of excellence rarely seen over the 24-year history of USA Hockey's National Team Development Program. In 2 years, the 2001s went 90-30-5 for .740 winning percentage. The team finished 26-3 internationally. If you love skill, this group delivered in a big way. The 2001s averaged 5 goals per game, scoring an NTDP record 679 goals, 66 more than the next closest class. Their goal differential was plus 280 over 2 years. The group scored in double figures 13 times over 2 years. 14 members broke NTDP individual records. Goaltender Spencer Knight recorded the most wins with 59. Cam York became the NTDP's highest scoring defenseman with 103 points. Cole Caulfield became the NTDP's all-time leading goal scorer with 126, beating Austin Matthews' previous record. Jack Hughes tallied the most assists in NTDP history and finished as the NTDP's leading career scorer with 228 points. Ironically, Caulfield and Hughes set their records on the same goal. Trevor Zegras, Matt Boldy, and Alex Turcotte also finished in the top 10 in NTDP career scoring. In their U18 year, the 2001 secured victories over 10 NCAA Division I teams, all on the road, including wins at the University of Michigan, at Wisconsin, at Notre Dame, at Harvard, at St. Cloud State, the number 1 team in the nation at the time, and at Minnesota Duluth, the eventual NCAA Division I champion. In their U17 season, the 2001s were the first NTDP class to win a USHL playoff game and playoff series, eventually losing in the USHL Eastern Conference Finals despite having 5 players called up to the U18 team. This team's excellence was validated at the 2019 NHL Draft, where they set an NHL draft record for the most players taken by a single team in one draft, 17, and the most first-round picks selected, 8, including first overall pick Jack Hughes.
It really was a tremendous class to work around. A lot of inspiration and admiration going back and forth between players and coaches. Not that it was always easy. You've got 8 first-rounders, 17 guys getting drafted. There'll be a couple more this year as well. The team, really had to build this club from the ground up, make sure that they appreciated the cultural values of a really good team. And but in the end, it was extremely rewarding. And this presentation, I hope you enjoyed as much as I've enjoyed putting it together. And what we're going to do is we're talking about line rush today. And the group clicked on a lot of facets at a high level, but line rush was definitely the calling card of this team. So we're going to build up. We're going to start with 1 man, then lead to 2, 3, 4-man attack options. Provide the methodology behind each thing, each item, what we believe, why we believe it, and then, of course, how we practice it. Throughout this entire presentation is going to be a mini celebration of the players as well. So we'll talk about some of their specialties and what they did to unique and lock themselves into the draft positions that they did. So starting off, we're gonna discuss playing behind the opponent. And the reason that we play behind the opponent to start is so that eventually we can play in front of them. All right. So our mindset is to get the opponent on their heels, and you can do this a variety of ways. It's driving wide, but you are going to have to be forced into spots right away where teams, they have tight gap. They're defensively minded. They're trying to do anything they can to keep you from scoring right out of the gates. So you're going to have to place it behind them. And with us, we came up with the phrase about a decade ago with the NTDP, was to deposit the puck. You never dump the puck. And I know it's an antiquated phrase, one of our game's kind of talking points, but it's one that I've decided to try to change. Deposit the puck at all times. Make sure you do everything with a purpose. And just because you're playing behind, you don't have the puck on your stick, doesn't mean you can be extremely creative with it. You can display hockey IQ, and you can use your skill. So with that, this is a look at a defensive posture that we saw a lot. You're going to have 3 players in the frame, and this is an opportunity where we have got to play behind the opponent. So Matt Boldy, he knows that the strong side deposit isn't going to be great because he's got a bleed dog in front of him. He's also got a defender. So anything along this wall might get turned over. Anything on the net, that's no good either. That's a turnover. So he knows he's got a buddy over on the far side. That's Patrick Moynihan. And Boldy's going to go indirect off the wall to Moynie over here on this side of the ice. So he's passing that puck, deposits it over, and now what we've done is we've shifted the opponent. So their funnel comes in, and they have to all shift this way. Moynie delivers to the net, and now the funnel's got to shift back. So their defensive zone is already a little bit in flux. You can start to see guys starting to stop and look around, and that's the split second that we need. So now Boldy goes, he gets it back on his tape, and he goes into attack mode. And all this is because he deposited the puck to start this off the shift. Here's a look at Panarin, one of the best one-on-one players in the NHL. Detroit's got a tight gap here. There's a tracker coming at him. He's not going to try to beat anybody one-on-one. He's not to the top of the circles yet. Even if he beats the defenseman, he's still got to get to the net. So he plays behind, and he plays behind creatively. He's got Dubois with a ton of speed here on the weak side. Dubois outraces the defenseman and buries it. Another look at playing behind with creativity. Trevor Zegras at the end of a shift. He knows he wants to get off the tight gap. This isn't a play. What's he going to do? He's up and over the top of the defenseman with a little alley-oop pass. This is Ryder Rolston, who's draft eligible here in June. Goaltender goes into his RVH, so below that top of the circle, or below that hash mark area and the goal line, the goaltenders will leave that area exposed. Ryder knows it, and he ends up finding that little hole up there in the RVH. Last clip, it's shorthanded. Matt Boldy was one of our best 200-foot players, a great penalty killer, and he takes the extra second here. Sometimes on the kill, you got to get it and rip it, but then there's also times where you can take the extra care. Boldy alley-oops over the top. Turcotte's going to hunt down. The turnover comes, and this will happen on the power play. You've got your 5 most offensive-minded players. They're thinking about the puck, and they'll leave their net front exposed from time to time. Boldy ends up working with Turcotte, hunts it down, and Turcotte ends up scoring. Now, those are some non-traditional deposits and playing behind, and this is a little bit more traditional. So Patrick Moynihan, back to him, seals off a play in the defensive zone. The defender's really tight, plus there's 4 trackers. This is a 1-on-4, so Moynihan places, and he makes sure it's past his D-man, and he puts it exactly where he needs to, where he can skate into it, right at the top of the circles, and this is going to segue into our one-man attack methods, and that's our wide drive. And when we go for the wide drive, this is where you end up, far post. That's your destination, and that's your aim. You're taking the defenseman with you. If he wants to crash into you, you're going into his goalie. You're taking the cage off its moorings, but far post is where we're headed. All right. So with the destination to the far post, you're not going to score every time. So you want to get your opponent focused on their net. The majority of your goals are going to come on tips, screens, trash down and around the net, and you're going to score on your power play. The line rush is just a way to get teams on their heels and focused on their net, not focused on yours. And so when they're all down around their net, there's a phenomenon called the accordion effect, which we reference when teams are stuck at their net, and then you get it out to your points, and you start to get them spread out. So they go from being tight together to loose, and that leaves the team vulnerable. Within the wide drive, there's some specialty items. Alex Turcotte has a unique challenge that he does if he can't get the far post, and John Beecher, his wheeling around the net. So Beecher was our leader in this category with the wide drive. These next two clips are going to showcase his prowess in this area. Corner on the defenseman, far post. He doesn't score, but 2020 eligible here, Sean Farrell buries the rebound. Beecher here off the other side gets the corner on the defenseman. All kinds of speed to the net front, leg out, and ends up going right through the far post. And once again, if anybody wants to contest him right here, defenseman, of course, when he gets to the NHL, he's going to run into D-men that can play physically, but everybody's going into that net right there if they want to challenge him. So that's the mindset with that wide drive, is to gain that far post. Alex Turcotte, far post. Jack Hughes gets in on the action. Right here, he could easily settle for a backhand or a deke. Far post, powers it through. And Cole Caulfield. This clip starts off with a tremendous block by Case McCarthy, 120-foot outlet. Saucer pass from Boldy. Gets the corner on the defenseman. Leg out. And gets a good bounce there. So, with that being said, let's talk about not scoring off the line rush. Beecher gets the corner. Doesn't score, but all five guys from the other team are focused around their net. Their defensemen have crisscrossed. The guy on the left side, now he's on the right side. So meanwhile, there's their funnel. Players want to get going. They don't want to have to stop and start when they come back into their zone. And this is the type of misdirection and miscommunication and things like that, the split seconds that you need. So 25 seconds goes by, a little more grind. Judd Caulfield finds Boldy. Boldy's skill takes over, cut back, and he buries it and ends up on the far post, which is pretty cool. It's a not traditional line rush. It's not traditional far post, but it just shows you're all in on the endeavor. Far post. So when things shut down on Beecher, so he can't get there, he can't get the corner on the defenseman, what he'll do is he'll get that big leg out there, and he'll just start protecting this puck. Uses his wingspan, and gets the other team focused. He wheels the net, and what ends up happening is your players become aware of it. You showcase it in the video sessions. You witness their tendencies, and then you bring it to the players' attention when we start talking about these items. So our defenders would start to creep in. They'd find these little pockets. There's a defenseman finding that weak ice, and it's a grade A scoring opportunity. Beecher can't get the corner on this one. And instead of looking for the defender, he's going to wheel the net, and he's going to find Judd Caulfield on the doorstep, and Judd slams it in the back of the net. With Turcotte, if he couldn't get the corner, what he'll do is he's just going to leave this thing right out into the slot. He'll ladle this thing right out there. A lot of touch to this play, a lot of finesse, and it's all done with a purpose. And you see his line mates know what's going there. They're going to be ready to jump on this puck. There's another clip that ends up showcasing this really, really, really well. Here's Turcotte again, this time on the backhand. Can't quite get the corner on the D-man, so he just ladles it right back out into the scoring zone. Owen Lindmark slams it back in the net. And this time, Turcotte on his backhand again, instead of just throwing it out into the slot, he's going to use the goaltender's far pad. Goes ahead, throws it into the blocker. Judd Caulfield knows it's going there, and it's in the back. Last clip is of him not scoring. We don't score directly off of this play. It's gonna be an example of the accordion effect. Turcotte gains the corner, far pad, and now let's take a look at his line mates. Because they know it's coming, you got sticks reported down to ice level. You can tell by their positioning that they're ready for anything that might be coming out, and everyone on the ice for us knows this is coming. Puck goes out of the slot, and now we've got all five players once again compacted down around their net front. Our defenseman knows that his forwards are going to work back over the top, so he's all in on this pinch. And true to form, all in, stick extended, and here's your forwards working back over. So even if he loses this battle, we're going to make sure we don't give up an odd man rush. We win it, defenseman's all in, and this is 15 seconds later. Turcotte forces a turnover at the top of your screen. It ends up behind the net. Michael Gildon challenges out, and Patrick Moynihan finds the back of the net. Now we're going to get into a little AP investigation here. And this is John Beecher. Back to our catalyst and what he'll do in the artistry behind his line rush attack, his drive wide. And for him, having that big frame, he comes into the zone, he gains the corner, and then he's going to use that front leg as really it's his shield right there. There's his shield to get away from the defender and to make sure that no one's stick can get at the puck. As far as his hands are concerned, he doesn't need to use his wingspan as much out wide. Because he's got that front lead leg, it's going to be difficult for a defender to get to him. So he actually keeps his hands pretty tight. All in all, it works just like that. Now, Jack Hughes is a little smaller, but he's got great fluidity and dexterity with his hands. He's going to utilize his wingspan to its fullest. So he gets out there, and this is what he works on with his line rush game, is getting his hands out away, and this is how he shields away from the defender. He's got enough power and speed to get around, to get the corner on many defensemen, and now he'll use his hands like this. He doesn't bury. Cole Caulfield ends up scraping up the rebound here, though. Dubois, again from Columbus, is going to be a little hybrid of both of those two thought processes. And here's that leg kick from Beecher and the Hughes wingspan. Now his destination is the far post. This is where he's heading, but he detects the cutback and buries the OT winner. Cole Caulfield, undersized, needs to initiate a little bit more. And this one right here is he's going to get that leg out, but he's also going to initiate, create contact with his back and his hips on the defender. So he's using that as his barrier between him, the puck, and the goaltender, his far post destination. 72 goal scorer, gets a good bounce. Those types of things happen for guys like that. And here's his likeness in the NHL. This is Cam Atkinson going against 6'5" Braden McNabb. And there's that front leg. And there's the hips and the back shielding off the puck. And the bounce, the similar bounce to boot. Same as Cole on that one. Lastly, with Alex Turcotte, what he'd work on in our drills is kicking the hand right out. So he's going to nudge with his glove. He's going to kick his hand and get that stick out of there using his glove. So there goes the stick, back to ice level before sliding it past the goaltender. So those are some specialty things that you can work on. And here's the drill that we do. And it's called Suomi, inspired by a Finnish drill that had some morphine, had some hybrid going with it. It's going at the same time from both ends, but I've only drawn it up from the one. Defensemen start right here at the base of the circle. They go back and retrieve a puck here from F1. And you'll see the landmark where F1 deposits that puck right there. He places it right through the dot lane and right at the top of the circles. So same things happen at the other end. F1 takes off, places his puck to perfection. This defenseman will go grab it. F1, after he does that, he continues on and he seeks out this far dot right here. Defenseman retrieves and throws a strike here to F1, who drives against the coach. So this little coach's therapy right here too. And coaches will go ahead and they'll lay the lumber on the guys right here. You gotta get that stick in there, get it on their hands, let them work on those drive ideas and those drive techniques. So they go for that far post and try to bury one. Now F2, he's waiting for that defenseman. After the defenseman throws that initial strike, the D-man gaps back up. Now he goes back and retreats and gets this puck here from F2. F2 might even be all the way up to the blue line. He's kind of timing this whole thing. Puck goes right back here to the top of the circles for that defenseman. And now F2, he's going to come through the middle of the ice. So he times it and he gets this pass right here through the middle. And now he splits the two coaches. Coach 1 re-engages. Coach 2 is right here. And both of these guys harass that player on the way to his net. A defenseman who made both those passes follows up for a third shot. Now, we talked about the wide drive extensively, and we'll venture into the middle drive and what our thoughts are there. A little bit simpler. One, your thought process is just taking away the defender's route. So a lot of these times you're going to be even with the defender, and you've got to make sure that he can't get to your puck. Hooking and holding is usually let go on semi-breakaways. They don't get called very often. So the next point of emphasis is freeing up your hands for one power move. And we do hundreds and hundreds of these reps so that you can end up relying on your training. One power move and rip it. So Judd Caulfield, even with the defender, he's going to get on the proper side of him. He's going to make sure he takes away that defender's route, and there it is there. And here it's time for one power move. And despite the hooking and holding, he gets it past the goaltender 5-hole. Here's Judd again. He's going to get into the defender's route, frees up his hands, and this time passes to the backside. They're going to close-up look, freeing up the hands, almost waving it like a wand. Last clip of that, saucer pass from Matt Boldy to Trevor Zegras for the breakaway, and now Z's going to free up his hands. Don't let that hook happen. One power move underneath the bar. Here's Suomi in action. So envision a situation where a defenseman came back and grabbed a puck right about here, head up, and there's F2. So F2 is coming through the middle of the ice. He's going to split the coaches. Coaches are going to converge on him. There's time for one power move, and then rip it. Close up at the power move here. This player is Matt Beniers. He's not eligible until 2021. Now, let's add in the second player. So dot lane drive. And this is a phrase that is an accumulation of a lot of different talks amongst staff. And a lot of people phrase it middle lane drive. We were looking for something a little bit more specific. So Dan Heinote, my associate coach here, came up with the phrase dot lane drive. And what you're trying to do is you're really manipulating the outside defenseman. So you're aiming for that defenseman's heels, trying to make him uncomfortable. And the reason that we aim for the dot lanes as that second, with that middle lane drive, is to test that weak side defenseman. So if they're in a slide system, that weak side D, it's a really far way for him to travel. He doesn't want to go that distance to get all the way outside his dots and have both defensemen logged onto one side of the ice and on one line of longitude on the ice surface. So through that dot lane manipulation, you end up having picks and different little give and go options. And then we're going to talk about a badge of honor amongst our team, a cultural item called the lead dog. Dot D manipulation, aiming for the heels. And this is the precision that you're looking for. Is Judd Caulfield kicks it out to Hughes on the weak side of the ice, and now this is his destination right here. It's right off of the defenseman's heels. And there's a brief moment of hesitation from this defenseman. And that's all you're looking for, because that brief moment of hesitation is the difference between this stick being up a quarter of the way up Jack's shaft on his stick or being reported down to ice level and being able to break that play up. Now, Judd's rewarded here. He goes off the defenseman's heels, and now it's straight back to the net front. Another look at dot D manipulation. This time it's going to be against a slide team. So work off the heels. Defenseman is going to slide, forcing this middle defenseman, the weak side D, to decision time. If he goes with Boldy too early, that opens up our weak side defenseman, Case McCarthy. Zegras will find him all day. So if that defenseman waits and then waits for the pass and then goes after Boldy, that's all the time Boldy needs. So defenseman ends up sliding, but there's the lane. And that hesitation, that brief second, is going to cost the goal. So here's some pick options that come from the dot D manipulation. Skating right at the defenseman, just go ahead and take them right out. Go into your skate, go into your glide, all right, and make it incidental. Pull, drag, rip. You can also go with stick lifts. And what this will do is you see it opens up a little passing lane, but it's right at this guy's legs, right at his back heel. And then here's your passing lane that opens up. Cole's a shooter, so he's not passing, but it was a right idea. And last one, quite a bit of brawn and sandpaper and silk to Alex Turcotte's picks. Everything that he does has a fair amount of flair to it. And he's going to go ahead. He's going to take this defender's stick out with his tripod, goes right into that glide. He's got the stick. He's got the power position. Stick's gone. And once again, you're off the heels and then back to the net as soon as you possibly can. If we connect the dots, he's got a wide open net. So with attacking the dot D, also opens up some really cool give and go options. This time it's Zegras and Hughes. They're going to run a quick give and go. Zegras and Boldy. So you slide it past that dot D man and then jump around him. Z to Boldy, rips it. Turcotte and Caulfield. Once again, slide system. This D man as the weak side guy he doesn't want to venture all the way out to the dot. He's not trusting the forward. There's a little bit of offensive gap here in proper positioning by our defenseman who joined the rush. So this D-man isn't comfortable leaving home. You slide it, and then you jump around and find that give and go. Last clip there is John Beecher, and we finally get a goal out of this. We slide it past Michael Gildon to Beecher over here. Look at the distance that weak side defenseman has to travel to get over there. He's partially in, partially out, which leaves them the middle of the ice vulnerable. And finally, we get one to go past the goaltender. Now, how do we work on our dot D manipulation? It's a simple drill called WD-40. Defensemen start on the whistle. Once again, we've only drawn it up from the one side, but it runs both ways. Forwards do not leave on the whistle. That triggers the D-men. Forwards wait for the D to get through their dots, and then F1 takes off with a sprint with a puck from both sides. You see the defenseman going into an agility skate. The forward then wants to crisp him a pass just as the D gets inside the blue line. The D will go into another little agility move here, and now he's going to join up with F2. F2 times it to catch this pass just inside the red line. After one makes that pass, now he wheels, slingshotting around the circle, and he goes right after the coach. So he attacks that coach's heels and goes right off of it. And F2, when he collects this pass, he can either make the slip into there, where this player can now either drive or attack, whatever you feel like that day. You can shoot if it's a warm-up drill for you. You can run the pick play, where now F2 grabs the middle of the ice and takes a shot from the middle, and, of course, a little give and go. Within that badge of honor, we referenced the lead dog before, and Alex Turcotte was our leader in this, our catalyst, our number one in regard to selflessness, and the clips really describe it the best and showcase it the best. It's a notion, it's an ideal that when you're the farthest guy up, you're the one who joins the attack. It doesn't matter if you're over on this side of the ice. It doesn't matter where you're located. If you're the second guy in the rush, you are the one to attack and manipulate this dot defenseman. So Turcotte could easily right now just flail out to the side, allow Patrick Moynihan to go through. But it's not the most effective approach. Now remember, we're trying to add up split seconds here. And so Turcotte, as the lead dog, is going to take it on himself. He's going to take the onus, and he's going to attack right off of this D-man's heels. He is not expecting to get a point. What he's doing is he's putting this weak side defenseman to the test. You see now the defenseman moves over. He's got a stick length, opening up Moynihan on the weak side for the one-timer, and it's in. Here Turcotte gets rewarded. Boldy is over on an island. This defenseman's got really, really good defensive structure and presentation. It's going to be a tough play. So what Boldy's going to do is he's going to play behind this D-man. But there's no hesitation from Turcotte to be the lead dog. Even though this guy's middle lane, Turcotte is going to be the one to go. And then we're going to fill in right behind him. So Turcotte activates, lead dog, and that zero hesitation is the reason that he gets to this puck first. He puts the team on his back, gets to that puck, keeps it alive, and ends up shoveling it there to Alex Vlasic on the backside for the go-ahead goal. Another look at the lead dog, the contagious behavior. Boldy could easily just stay out wide. It's the same clip as before. But instead, lead dog. Let your buddies fill in. Boldy gets rewarded here too. Slip pass, little hesitation, backside, and goal. Your best players better be in on this. And Ryder Rolston opens up for Boldy. So here's Ryder, comes right at the D-man, opens up the lane, Zegras to Boldy, bar down. Caulfield opens up for Hughes and Zegras. Zegras opens up for Hughes and Gildon. So here comes Z all the way across the ice. He's not waiting for Gildon to go. He's going to let Gilly take that shooting lane because he's the lead dog. Last one is Hughes coming all the way across the ice. Your leaders better be the guys who, whatever you believe in, your leaders better be the ones who go out and do what you're asking. They better buy in. And Hughes was awesome that way, everything we asked of him, and the precision to boot. Look at him right off the heels and opens up Caulfield, and then, of course, it's back to the net front. How do we practice that lead dog and dot manipulation and making the read on who should be that lead dog? It's a drill that we run called Bernie Lomax. And you'll notice where the third guy is here. It's very important that detail is adhered to. and take a look at here today. 1 and 2 are crossing on the whistle, and 1, you're passing the puck to the third guy. Now there's a 3-on-1. Out here is the defenseman for the red team, and now we go into attack mode. Because 3 is so tight to 1 and 2 to start, he's going to drive to the middle. He can kick it out one way or the other, and then he's going to attack and manipulate that defenseman, either opening himself up for a slip pass or the dot wide, freeing his buddy up. Now, the next part of this is the D-man who just took on that rush, he becomes 3. And you look how far behind the play he is compared to where the last 3-man was. 1 and 2 still leave on the whistle. They still cross. 1 still snaps a pass here to 3. But because 3 is so far behind the play, what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to trust that the 2 is going to be that lead dog. So 2 re-engages and attacks while 3 fills that far lane. That's the drill we use to run that lead dog and to practice our dot manipulation and which guy should attack the defenseman. So earlier we said the reason that we play behind teams is so that we can eventually play in front of them. And lane filling is the term that we use for our 3-man attack. And there's 3 reasons that we fill all of our lanes. 1 is to make sure that we recover on pucks. So whether it's a shot wide or a missed pass, we're going to get to every loose puck, hopefully first. We're going to contest every loose puck, and we're going to touch first on it whenever we possibly can. The other thing that filling lanes does, particularly simple ones, simple lane filling, is you test the opponent. So you put their trackers in their defensive zone, their funneling, their details, if they want to hit their edges. You put all of those things to test with the opponent by tracking all the way home and filling all your lanes. And the last thing that it does is a lot of fun. You get to have your no-look passes. If you know a player is going to a certain spot of the ice and he's going there consistently, you can throw a quote-unquote blind pass and have an idea that that thing is going to connect. So throughout all of this lane filling, there's simple traditional lane filling, and there's also exotic lane filling where players are on similar lines of longitude and they end up having to sort it out and get to those 3 lanes. So we'll go through all these 3-man options here going forward. The clip I thought that really encompasses filling lanes is Ryan O'Reilly last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. He's on the same line of longitude as Perron. Peter Angelo fires it far side, blocker save, but O'Reilly travels all the way from here to get to that far post and that far lane. And then his hand-eye and his brilliance takes over. But there's a really good chance that that puck was just going to end up over in the corner. So that's what you're aiming for. Goals are a bonus on the line rush. This is a clip that shows the hundreds, if not thousands of reps that it takes, whether it's through drills or through video sessions, to beat into the players, to make sure that they're aware of how important it is to fill lanes. This is our U17 club this past season in a gold medal game against the Russians. And all we have to do right now is drive this far lane. We've got our middle. This looks really similar to the last clip with Peter Angelo, except we got a lefty shooting. It's still going to come far pad, and that rebound is going to lay right there. Even if we don't score, it is a rolling puck. We're going to have possession of this. Instead, Russia goes and grabs it, transitions out, and we don't even have an offensive zone start. So you fill your lanes. For the slam dunks, of course, but it's for possession purposes. Here's some example, recovery. So Zegers fills this far lane. He's got the dot lane filled, even though he's behind the play. He doesn't get magnetized by the puck and come into the weak ice. Even if we get it to him as this trailer, all that happens is a defenseman, cool, calm, stops, steps up, and gets the block with good stick detail. So we fill our lanes. Z, puck ends up in the corner. He gets a first touch on it. Now, he gets wrecked. He gets absolutely smoked, but he pops right back up, and the grind sets up his skill. Little saucer pass to himself, and then he shovels it past the goaltender. Gets rewarded. All starts with that lane fill. Here's a traditional lane fill that puts the opponent to the test. So it's a 4-on-3. Not in favor of blue, but Mike Gildon stays down that dot lane. He goes right to that far post. Hughes manipulates the dot D, gets both D caught on the same side of the ice. Shot off the pad to Gildon. Oh, rolling puck doesn't go for us. Here's where we test the opponent, though. Certain teams are going to have their right wing who wants to get back to his landmark, so his traditional spot. Some teams want the first guy to play low. You'll also end up with mismatches down in those spots. But let's pay attention to 55 here. He gets back to his spot, and that's where he should be, right wing. But the problem with that is that if he had stayed home, he'd be able to deny Caulfield. And all Cole needs is that one split second where the defense doesn't have him marked, and he's going to find you. He's going to burn you. Here's a little more exotic form of putting to the opposition to the test. We've got two players caught on the same side of the ice. Here's our lead dog coming through. Hughes knows that he's got to get to this far post. So he's going to test the opponent's funnel. And here's their right wing. Just goes to show you, there's the right wing, and the centerman wants to get to his spot. So he over funnels. The puck ends up right back where Hughes, just because Hughes vacated that ice and forced the other team into a tough spot on his funnel. Now, this is a traditional lane fill for a no-look pass. Starts off with a 3-on-2. Our weak side player, Mike Gildon, is driving for his far post. He will not get magnetized to the puck, despite the turnover happening. Really good stick detail here from the guys in orange. And also, something to notice is that John Beecher didn't get into the dot lane. So he didn't get a little bit further out, which makes this a more enticing option for the defenseman to travel out there and break up the play. So that play breaks up. But we don't get magnetized by the puck. We're not going to help. We finish the route straight to the back post. So when Judd Caulfield ends up grabbing this puck, it's going to come to him right here. He turns, he's staring down here, looking this way, turn, wheel, and fire it to the backside. Fill your lanes and get rewarded. Here's a little bit more non-traditional look, a more exotic look at lane fill, which leads to a goal. Here's our lead dog. He's going to come over and help, which means that Moynihan has to fill this far side. Puck goes off the pad, no look. And, these things happen all over the ice. Trevor Zegras has highlight reel after highlight reel, and it starts to resonate and creep into all facets of your game, whether it's the offensive zone, and you're going to start to have all three of your lanes full at all times. And so Z knows that these lanes are going to get filled, and he's going to be able to make these no-look passes. Finds Hughes on the other side for a lane fill, backhand, top shelf right underneath the bar. And this is how we practice our simple lane fill. It's a 3-on-2 drill, but it has trackers in it, so it ends up being 5-on-5. On the whistle, coach has the puck. He puts it out to either side, or he can leave it with the center iceman. And these defensemen stay tight to each other. They should be able to touch their sticks, and they don't know which way this is going. But as soon as that puck moves, everybody activates. It's a full sprint for the guys in red to try to gain a 3-on-2. So they're going against these defensemen, and defensemen are basically in recovery mode. They get as far out and they get out to the puck carrier as quickly as they possibly can and try to shut him down. Now, if blue gets the turnover, they've got their buddies, and these fellows are sprinting back, going to help out in case that puck ends up down in the D zone. If the turnover happens, the blue guys get to work against broken down gap here. So the defensemen for the other team have to start way back here. And you can start your players anywhere you want. You can start them all the way back there if you want. Anywhere works. But what you're trying to accomplish is you give that little carrot here to the blue guys. If they break up the play and get that thing back in the neutral zone, then their buddies will end up flying into those and working on their transitional offense. Now, there's going to be times, too, where red's going to get all the way down into the offensive zone. They're going to make goal mouth pass across the ice, dot wides, and things like that. And every now and then you're going to get to work on your D-zone coverage, too. But there's no depositing in this drill. Certainly no dumping. You have to make plays, and that's on both sides of things. And, yeah, you might go give a guy a nudge after a bad turnover and say, hey, in a game, that's got to go here, or, this was your play come Friday night. But for the emphasis points of this drill in practice, it's to make plays. And here's this drill, and it's called Gary Busey. This is in game action, so you can't really draw it up much better. 3-on-2 for white. Here's your defenseman, and then there's your trackers. Turnover happens, and then this is the type of transition that we're looking for. As quick as possible, stops, starts, back up the ice. Here's your broken down gap. 1D's broken, 1D's tight over here on the strong side. And the transition ensues. And there's Judd with the puck protect, gets his hands free, and gets Turcotte. Now, this is a scenario where you might start the puck with the middle guy and say that you want to loft this puck in. This is cool, too. Tell your center, I'm giving it to you, and I'm going to ask you to go for a little alley-oop pass. Tell your winger, get going right away. And Marshall Warren's seen this before in practice. So when it comes game time, he's cool and he's calm. Just collects it, gets it to his backhand. He knows where his buddies are flying into, so it's off the wall. Our trackers are working hard, so they get a bunch of offensive gap and speed. Now there's your 3-on-1. And don't leave Cole there with the one-timer. This is a look at the drill, whereas if it progressed all the way below the tops of circles. So you've got your 3-on-2. Here's your tracker. 3-on-2, puck off the pad, and there's your transitional opportunity right now. And you get so much better at this, and your guys just get, and with the emphasis on offense, your 4 and 5 guys away from the puck, they just start to gain offensive gap and start to fly up the ice. And you get really, really antiquated with the concept of transitioning and getting going on your horse as soon as that turnover happens. Boldy makes a drop pass. I'm going to reference a term that we call proper side. So Boldy engages the defender here, and he's going to win this proper side opportunity every single time. Gets around him. And this is a great picture that doesn't go for us. He's got Boldy back here, York does, but it's a great picture and an example of how you transition off of that Gary Busey drill. One more look from a defensive zone, 2-on-1 with a tracker, turnover. You got your buddies coming with speed, got to work back to the puck to gain offensive gap, and now it's off to the races. He goes Hughes to Zegras, back to Cole for a dagger. All right, now a little more look at some exotic lane fill. So lead dog, get out there and get to your wide side. Fill the lane. Just pay attention here to this guy. Gets all the way out there. A lot of stuff happens, but because he fills that far lane, Alex Vlasic gets the goal. Another look. Really cool Gretzky cutback from Boldy. We get our .D manipulation. Zegras is going to make his way to the net after he manipulates that D-man, which is outstanding habits. But let's go back and let's talk about that exotic lane fill. Line of longitude, he's got to balance this ice out. Get over there and get to the wide ice. So Boldy's doing some dancing, but we put the funnel to the other team's funnel to the test. You fill your lanes. It goes off the shin pad and in the net. But really the reason is if that puck ends up over at Aquafina, that we can get a first touch on it. Fill your lanes at every opportunity. One more non-traditional and exotic. All 3 players on one line of longitude. You got to get out and fill that far lane. Get out there, fill it. Get a couple chip passes, bury it. This is how we work on it. A drill called Sully Slash. So 1, 2, and 3 are all taking off on the whistle. 1 leaves with a puck. He passes to 4. 4 doesn't leave his line, but he does receive a pass and makes a pass here. 1, snap it to 4, and then get all the way out here and fill this far lane. 4 waits for the lane to open up, waits for 1 to clear through. You see 2's route is all the way to the wall. He bellies out here, comes nice and flat initially, and now it's a cool cross ice pass. Rip this thing over there to 2, and he gets to work on his hands collecting passes. 3 is joining up. So he starts in this far lane. He's joining up with 2 all the way on the far side of the ice. As 2 collects this puck, he can either go indirect or direct here to 3. Now 2 drives the dot lane, manipulates a coach if you want to toss him in there. And then 1, the puck has to end up with 1 at some point. So 3, he can either get to the tops of circles and use 2 as a decoy and go dot wide. Whereas 1, he can one-touch it to the back door or rip the one-timer, or we can run a slip pass here to number 2, and then he's got to get it back over to 1. All right? That's a great drill to work on your exotic lane filling and get everybody going up and down the ice. AP with lane filling is a term we call vacating, expertly ran by Cole Caulfield. And so Cole sees that there's a broken down forecheck here, disconnected forecheck for red. And so he's going to get up and out of the zone. And as he sees his buddies skating into his ice, so here he goes like this. Instead of just waiting around here, which we'll talk about a ladder option coming up in a little bit, but Cole decides he wants to get lost. So he sees his buddies coming in, turns his back on the play, trusts those guys that they're going to do their job, fills the far lane, and gets rewarded handsomely with an open netter. Here's 3 more clips of Cole running this. Hughes and Farrell are both coming into his space. He's out of here. Fill the far lane. Look at all the attention that these two fellas are bringing. There's 5 guys focused on this side of the ice. Nobody's focused on the guy that's got 72. Puck finds him on the weak side. He rips it past him. One more of these. Hughes comes into his ice. Cole fills over. Starts on this side of the ice here. Ends up all the way on the far side. Vacating lanes as players and his buddies are entering his fray. Everything's happening. Good turnaround. Hughes goes to the net. Gets a tip. Slam dunk for Cole. Last one. And this one really displays the trust that Cole has and belief in the system. Get away. Don't even worry about the puck. Trust your buddy that he's going to do his job. Allow the lead dog to do his job. Go ahead and just get lost. Put the other team's funnel to the test. Right wing slams on the brakes. Forget about Hughes doing his thing. Marshall Warren ends up finding Cole. Cole's lost. Sees the RVH from the goaltender and ear holes him. How do we work on vacating? It's a 2-on-1 drill called stretch 2v1. And on the whistle, your defenseman, he goes into recovery D. F1 takes off. Coach can snap this guy a puck, and then you've got like a mini 1-on-1 out here. This guy can try to drive wide. He can delay over on the far side. He can bump it into F2. F2's got to take this route on the whistle because coach can choose him as well. If we do the bump play or coach chooses F2 initially, F1 vacates his side of the ice. He gets up and out of there. So say coach snaps it up to him, he bumps it, get out of there, and allow F2 to skate into your ice. If he passes to F2, get out of there. Just vacate, and now it's a traditional 2-on-1. On the whistle, the D-man that absorbed that line rush, he's going to go sprint over to the puck pile because F1 or whichever guy is closest is going to scoop one and snap it to the next D. D-man runs his blue. There's an open player at the net. We work on our net front play, our screening, and of course this little 1-on-1 battle takes place. On the next whistle, this D-man that shot the puck, he goes into recovery mode, attacking F1. Coach gets to choose. F2 comes underneath, and it's just a continuous 2-on-1 stretch. So at this point, we've broken the opposition down pretty good. We're talking about our 4-man attack, starting to go on towards the end of the presentation here. 4-man attack, and this means that the other team is really on their heels. That we've now taken over the game. Our defensemen are into the play, and momentum is definitely ours. And we referenced the ladder briefly before. It's a concept that a lot of teams have, kick out or something along those lines. A novel item, one that I haven't heard anywhere else, one that we run is called the hook. And that's the dot manipulation player. He runs a hook route in conjunction with the ladder man. We'll talk about our D-men, what their jobs are, and how we get them activated in the line rush. And of course, when you're talking about your 4-men, all priors apply. It starts with our drive game. It starts with dot manipulation and filling lanes. The 4th guy is icing on the cake. So here's our ladder. And a ladder is simply any player who's out in front of the rush that isn't going at the same speed as the puck and the majority of the players. So we start this clip off. John Beecher's on slash support. He is now stagnant at the blue line. So Matt Boldy kicks it out to him and then just drives the dot lane. But this little kick out play is called the ladder. So now what you've done is if the other team's tracking isn't in order, if you've got some time and space here, you're able to kind of assess the situation and now start to make plays. And if there's any apprehension or any bit of hesitation where the defenseman does to stand up or there's miscommunication between him and the trackers, we're going to simply play behind him. So dot lane drive, kick it out, drive the dot lane. Here goes Beecher behind the opponent, and Caulfield fills. So he's going to fill this far lane. So all other priors apply. And when you have that ladder guy, oftentimes that gives your defenseman almost full go to activate into the rush. It means that we've got plenty of time and space. There shouldn't be any mistakes with decisions because you've had an ample opportunity to assess the situation that's coming, all the trackers, and our D-men should be in and involved on the rush. And here Drew Hellison's in. So he gets a couple whacks at it. Judd keeps it alive, and there's an empty net for Drew. Here's another look at a stagnant ladder and this tiny bit of apprehension, of hesitation, as this defenseman decides to travel north. means that Boldy's going to play behind. And there we go, Turcotte to Boldy. Destination is far post. There goes the goaltender. And now we're going to introduce the hook player. So after we ladder it out, so this one, it's a moving ladder. Gildon here isn't moving nearly as fast as the puck or the puck carrier. So you see him in his glide. Here's a moving ladder, and now Beecher is going to hook open. He gets almost all the way out to the wall here, and he wants it back. He's expecting this puck. He doesn't have to get it, because if this defenseman goes with him, then Gildon's going to have to do something else, of course. But he's ready for it. So Gildon goes back to him, and now we've got our wide drive, destination far post, can't get there, Beecher wheel, Caulfield back of the net. Great lane fill on this ladder play, really sets up the whole thing. If Zegras goes and adds clouds to this area and adds numbers, then it's going to be tough for us to make our play. But he stretches out the defense, gets his lane fill, and Caulfield gets all kinds of deception. So Cole's looking this way, knowing full well he wants to go back to Hughes here. And now Hughes is going to hook open. So Hughes runs the dot lane right off the heels, and now he opens up, ready for that hook play. All kinds of deception until the quarterback decides he wants to hit his wide receiver. And this is where you want that puck to come, just below the dot, right into this space. And now Hughes has two options. One, you can try to power it past the goaltender, or two, he just turns wheels and rips one to the backside, and hopefully Zegras is ready for it. Hughes opts for option one. He rips it off the pad, and our fourth guy, that's York, he jumps in and buries this thing. Here's the look at what happens with a moving ladder, and the dot D caves in with the drive player. So Hughes ladders it out here to Boldy. The D-man absorbs Hughes going to the net. Boldy takes his time on this, goes dot wide over to Caulfield, 2 touches, bar down. And we use a neutral zone passing drill called Eagle X to work on our ladder play. Very, very advanced and trying to make sure you execute it, but it's a lot of fun when it comes to fruition. On the whistle, your D gap up. F1 takes off with a puck. F1 leaves a little area pass out here. He doesn't rip it at this defenseman because this guy's gapping up. You don't want to handcuff him. So get it to your D-man, and the D-man instantaneously go D to D. So that puck goes D to D, but F1 continues this way. So the reason he continues like this is in the event in a game where D1 gets this puck, he might snap it right up to F2. Well, we want to make sure we have support there. So F1, he continues like this, and as the puck goes D to D, he and 2 are just going to run a little exchange here. So 2 ends up filling the middle of the ice, and now D2 gets it and throws a strike right through the dot here to F2. F2 gains a zone. F3 at this point has gotten onside, and he becomes a little moving ladder. So 2 kicks it out to 3. 1 is filling this far lane, and now 3 gets to be the quarterback. If he wants to go back to 2, so down here at the dot, what he wants to do is look off 1 the entire time. If he wants to go to 1 cross ice, he should be looking off 2, so looking down the dot lane here before ripping this pass cross ice. We can make a bang-bang play there, and another drill where the goaltenders don't really love it, but it's great for puck movement and our guys getting working on their ladder reads. The defensemen, after they make their D-to-D pass, they sprint up to the puck pile. They go into a double spread. So D-man rips one wide here to his partner, and then this guy drives it back to that original defenseman. And now this guy can either kind of run his blue line and shoot, or he can drag it back towards the middle and have a little fun as well. And then the whistle cracks, and we go out the other side. So we don't have the players drawn up, but it doesn't go both ends at the same time. That'd be too much going on in the neutral zone. So this is the drill. This is it in game action. Here's our D-to-D pass. Here comes 2. 2's coming through as 1 is skating away. Puck goes into the ladder guy, so 2's got the puck right now. He kicks it out to 3. Hooks open. Now we're going to zoom in, fill our far lane there as 1. 2 opens up, rips it down to the net front. And now 3 is actually going to pick up the loose change. So getting our 4th man into the rush with our D-men activating, really important part of today's game. And for us, the emphasis points are that your D-men have to have knowledge of all routes and details. So a lot of the line rush drills that we do not have positions. The defensemen have to know the jobs of the forwards, and they have to know all of the details that run with the line rush. You want to take advantage of every single opportunity, so your D have to know. They got to know everybody's jobs. As you get that fourth guy into the rush, you want to have the three players, the three lanes filled, and then the fourth guy wants to find a pocket. The video will probably describe that the best. And then our defensemen, when they activate and they're not sure that the getting's good, we want our D in and out. And this creates a confusion. There's a couple clips that show that confusion and what can develop after D-men just simply activate and then get out of the frame. So here's a clip of the Leafs running a moving ladder play. So it's Dermott. He attacks the dot D after laddering it out to Nylander. Kerfoot fills the weak side. This is awesome dot D manipulation with a pick and then jumping through. Really good stuff there. Lane fill here. Moving ladder is going to find the far side. Kerfoot gets the tip, and then the dot lane manipulator, the original kickout guy, finds his way back to the net front. Dermott gets the loose puck into the back of the net. Here's Marshall Warren leading the rush for us, another ladder player. So Marshall's a D-man, kicks it out here to Zegras for the ladder, and now he is going to hook open. So you'll watch, he wants it back. He wants it back right now. He's ready for it, but Zegras opts for Hughes. Not a bad choice. Tape to tape, under the bar. D-men have to know all routes. Some exotic lane fill. So we've got all three players on one line of longitude. Boldy gets up and out. Here's your middle lane drive guy or dot lane drive guy, Henry Thrun. D-man takes it on, knows his job, goes right off the heels, makes this dot lane defenseman just a little bit uncomfortable. Boldy's lane filled to the weak side. Hits the fourth guy for a beauty. Seen this clip a few times, but it's just so important that we make sure that we have our defensemen knowing their jobs. Alex Vlasic is the D-man. He started here. He gets all the way out to the wide ice and gets rewarded. Cam York was our best guy at being the fourth player. I mean, noted by the amount of points that he ended up scoring. And, initially we discussed it there back at the slide about finding that pocket. And once again, we've got that exotic lane fill. So Zegras doesn't settle for that middle ice. He gets all the way out and finds that lane. So we're revisiting that moving ladder. Here we're going to talk about finding the pocket. You've got your three players right across. And then as the fourth guy, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find that little pocket that's just past the other team's trackers and just behind our three players. So that if we do turn this puck over, that we're not left naked. We're not left vulnerable. If we hits a stick, hits a skate, now York can get back into the rush. If the getting's good, he can go all the way to the net front. He's just got to be in and out. Here the shot comes in, and you see his momentum. He's not waiting around there. He's in, and he's out of the play. But the puck finds him, and he buries one. Here's another look at Dom Fensori, one of our offensive-minded defensemen. There's our lane of three right across the blue line. It starts to go, and Dom finds that pocket right above the tracker and just on the other side of our three guys. So he walks into it and pipes one bar down. Last clip starts off with a great dot manipulation by Moynihan. Henry Thrun, as a defenseman, knows to fill his lane. There's a little play, and there's the pocket. Just above our three and just beyond their tracking opportunity. So we can get back if we need to, but we get that just little gap. So if we can find that fourth guy, he's available. Drew Hellison buries that one. Now we'll talk about getting the defensemen in and out on their line rush. And so Dom Fensori is our current puck carrier. We know how this one's going to end. We're going to find Cole on the backside. But a huge reason for this is that Dom is in and on the play and monopolizes some defensemen's attention. So this D-man right here is going to check up on Dom. He gives him the right amount of respect. But the problem is Dom is just a decoy in this. He's in and he's out of there. And it's too late for that D-man. He's ventured away from his net. He's checked a guy that he shouldn't have, but it's not really his fault. Your defensemen just create that confusion. Last clip with the D-man entering the fray and being aware and knowing his job on the line rush. We're going to go with a little kick-out ladder play. Farrell's then going to hook open. So he gets his puck back from Turcotte. There's our deception. Here's Henry Thrun driving in. And once again, he's going to take away that defenseman's attention. The D-man initiates with Thrun, and that's the split second that guys need. So Farrell grabs, no look. Cole, poor goaltender, doesn't even know it's past him. And this is how we work on getting our defensemen to realize all of the jobs on our line rush. It's a continuous 4-on-2 drill. It starts off with a 3-on-1. So you see the red guys, they run a 3-on-1 versus a blue. And as soon as they go by on this 3-on-1, coach is going to release 4 players, 3 blues and 1 red. The red, he goes out and he's going to be the D-man for the next shift. Now, that 3-on-1 goes through. As soon as that gets passed and the coach releases them, the first guy, he sprints all the way back in to help out that defenseman. So there's your 3-on-2 or 4-on-2 low. 2 and 3 here out of the line, they come back and hit their edges. They cannot go below the hash marks. So a 4-on-2 plays out low until coach blows the whistle. He can either let that play out as long as he wants, or say it goes into the corner off that initial line rush, he might want to work on transition. So he can crack that whistle, and what that does is it kills off the red attackers. They're out of there. So you watch all 3 reds, they're done with this rush, and the 4 blues that remain, they go and attack 4-on-1 versus that red defenseman. As soon as they go through the neutral zone, that's when 3 reds take off. 1 blue guy goes out there and plays D. And now the first guy from red, he goes back and helps out this guy. It's 4 versus 2 below the hash marks. Coach can let that play out. And if they score on the rush, coach is over here with some pucks. He's free to put one in whenever he would like. That drill is just called continuous 3-on-1. And so now we're really starting on the decline of the presentation, but nothing would work in our systems if you didn't have elite athletes and you didn't have players that had will and had the engines to play this style. And so we have a phrase, another cultural item within our club called 4-5, and this just references the 4th and 5th players, the farthest guys away from the puck. The other concepts that we'll talk about here are offensive gap, and that'll be best exemplified with video and proper side. And this is just getting on the right side of people every single time. It's if you're a defender, making sure you're between the puck and the net. And if you're on offense, you're every single time trying to get on the strong side. So if there's a loose puck, you're getting to it. Through our drills, we build our engines and we build our will. And so Matt Boldy was our number 1 guy in regard to 200-foot play. And that's why he was drafted 12th overall by Minnesota. And here's a couple of clips of Boldy as 4-5. And so he's right behind the play. He's the 5th guy farthest away from our net, the 10th player from our home base, but he works his butt off to get back. Let's see if we can't get this clip in total here. So there we go. Hunts, stick lift. Goes the other way. Slides at 5-hole. Here's another look. 10th player away from the ice, from our net. Challenge is out. Puck is now going in transition for the opponent. Boldy's going to hunt. He's going to work with our D. He's going to allow our D to play tight. And now it's going to transition the other way. Once again, he's probably tied for the 10th player farthest away from the offensive net, but he takes off running. York makes the play. Boldy trusts him to get this thing up and out. Boldy hunts down a first-round defenseman, and now his destination is far post. And that's the kind of 200-foot effort that we got from Boldy all the time. He's one of the hardest workers with 4 and 5 away from the puck. And that's something we talk about, critique, and make our players really buy into. This is how we work on that engine and will to have players that really buy into that 4-5. It's a one-on-one buffet. So F1, he's going to take off with a puck, and he's going to go against the defenseman from the other side. And this drill, again, runs without positions. You just go from the D line to the forward line. That's how it works. Coach can crack his whistle at any time in this one-on-one. If the D-man breaks it up here, go ahead and crack the whistle. What that does is it triggers the next one-on-one. So one, he's going to fly from the red this time, and the D-man, D1 from blue, is going to gap up. So that there's a one-on-one there, but it's a 2-on-2 because the D that took on that original rush, now he tries to gain proper side on the forward who's trying to gain the proper defensive side. On the next whistle, the defenseman, that original D who took on the rush and then jumped in, he's done. He goes to the forward line. But the forward who took his original one-on-one, he goes for a third rep. So he's up in the rush as one on the forward. Now he tracks, and now he goes again. So at this point, what you're going to do is you've got a 3-on-2 technically for blue. But you're going to see a ton of different scenarios. You're going to get 2-on-1s. You're going to get 3-on-1s. You're going to see this F2 working against a forward, and the forward takes a bad gap, and F2 is just going to burn him wide. And once again, coach can leave this playing as long as he wants. There's a 3-on-2. He can let that play out, or he can be quick on his whistles and really work on transition. This is that drill in game mode. So here's Cole on his one-on-one. He's going to rip one off the post. Defenseman rolls on him. So we need Cole to track this thing down. We need him to track now. He gets caught in just a little bit. Cole is going to work back over the top. Proper side on his check. So that's the relationship we're watching right there. Now the puck goes back into the defensive zone. You can envision coach cracking a whistle right now. And Cole gets on his horse and goes the other way. Now Hughes takes on lead dog responsibilities. Cole fills his lane. And there's that clip again. It's amazing how often the good stuff your team does is backed up with numerous clips that happened, that preceded it and happened a long time before. Offensive gap. And here's the concept. It's after you initiate or after you're stuck down in your defensive zone that you now sprint back. That you work as hard as you possibly can to get back. One, to help out your defensemen, make their line rush a little bit easier, a little bit more predictable, a little bit more comfortable. But it's also so when we get the turnover that we've got a ton of speed. And if you go back to this clip and watch how Cole and the defenseman were tied up together here away from the play, you're going to see how much offensive gap that Cole's achieved at this point. Not only does he get onside, but he really fuels this. And this is the line rush clip from before where Hughes gets his hands out wide, uses that fluidity, that dexterity. But all of this is afforded to him because of the work on the back check and gaining offensive gap. Powers it past the goalie. Hughes was also our number one when it came to just getting on the proper side. And this is what we're going to watch. I think this is the 10th time that we've shown this clip, but there's just so many layers behind it to produce a goal like that. And he's tied up with these guys, but he's going to work so hard to gain proper side that by the time he receives this puck at the far blue line, he's made up 25 feet on the trackers, on the same two players that he was with. And he loads it up, throws it in the gun for Zegers, who rips it, and we get the rebound. But it's this type of work ethic away from the puck that really, really, really makes this player who he is. Let's go back to Cole's original goal. Wide rush, play, this is all great, but this is what we're going to watch right now, is this relationship between Hughes and Broberg and how Hughes just wants to fight and get on the proper side every single time. Cole scores, but if there's anything laying there, Hughes is going to be on it. And that's who he is, and that's why we run some of these drills to get on the proper side. There's going to be a few more clips of proper side before we get into the drill session. Here's Boldy. Hook, hold, no worries, proper side, shelf. Turcotte, even with the player here, gain the proper side. We've referenced trust a few different opportunities today. And right now he trusts that Cole's going to make the right pass, that he's going to find him. It might go offside, might be frustrating, but he works. And now he goes for the far post. Last clip of strong side is Cole Caulfield. And this is another piggyback clip of Hughes' line rush earlier. And right now you've got a stick length of difference. And these first 4 or 5 strides are the most important ones. When you start talking about being a standstill and gaining proper side, this is the 4 or 5 strides. Get low, dig in, and gain that spacing. Now it's 2 stick lengths. And the difference between beating the next guy to the puck. All because those 4, 5, 6 hard strides to gain the proper side and gain a little bit of offensive positioning. That's why they do it all the time. Win it every single time. Some more coaches' therapy here. I think Cole and Dan high note. Danny's got a herniated disc, I think, from Jocelyn with Cole and jabbing Cole for 2 seasons. It starts off with 1 and 2. 1 gets to the top of his circles, and now he's up and out on slash support. So 2 is in through, right through the hash marks and through that dot, and he's going to get a pass from the defenseman. Defenseman starts at the hash. He goes into a quick agility skate and then retrieves a puck. His buddy leaves one off the wall for him. D-man wheels, hits 2 over here on the right on the hash marks, and now 2's got to negotiate a coach. So coach pinches down on him. 2 goes indirect, and now coach goes right after this guy. No holds barred. Make him have to outskate the coach. So he's got to really, really work hard. 4, 5, 6 strides about out to the blue line. And now what he's going to do is he's going to go into coast mode. So he gets out and fills this far lane. And right about here is where he takes off again. 1 has already gone through. He's used this cone for a quick shot. Pull, drag, rip. It's a good one for the goalies. The next one is not so friendly for the goaltenders. So as 2 gets himself out of that open ice, the coach who originally pinched, he's going to gain a little positioning, and now he's going to harass this guy again on his way to the net. Sticks, slashes, everything for this guy to gain that backside, and now here's a backdoor. Goaltenders hate it. Forwards love it. Slam it in the back of the net, and the D-man that made that original pass, he's going to follow up for a 3rd shot. Here's that drill in action. So envision a situation where coach is pinching down, and now it's sprint. Get to that far lane and make sure you gain some gap, gain some ground, put the other team's track to the test, fill that far lane, and hammer it. So we're almost done here, and referenced precision a few times throughout this presentation. And the last thing we're going to talk about is that precision and what some of these players and how good they were in the category of drop passes, and how much pride they took in making sure that everything was on the tape and everything was flat. And it's mandated by the coaches, but it's something that the players really have to take on. They're the ones who have to own this. And it starts off with Marshall Warren. So we're just going to go through 4 or 5 clips of drop passes that are right on the money. And you can hook and ladder all day long. You can run the proper routes. But if this initial pass, this back pass, isn't flat, then none of this happens. It's not right on Trevor's gun. And exemplifying precision, this is it to a T. Hughes enters on the power play, drop pass, just underneath the defenseman's stick, and just inside the blue line for Zegras to pick up. It's the perfect amount of touch, perfect amount of precision for Z to be able to dance in and put it underneath the bar. Here's clip 13, 14, 15 of this one, and Zegras with the drop pass right on the tape for Hughes, who loads up the gun, and we put it in the back of the net. Cole getting lost, all starts with this saucer pass. All starts with that back pass, that drop pass, finds it, gets lost, backside. How do we practice that? It's a simple warm-up drill. It's a lot of fun. The players like it. Once again, there's no positions. The guys in blue are technically the offensive guys. Here's the guys in red are running more of a defenseman type of route. And on the whistle, everybody finds their dots. So red guys get into their dots. Blue, get into your dots with a puck. You snap it to that player right here, that 1, and then you get up and out towards the wall. So you start to fill that lane, use the width of the ice. 2, snaps it to 1, gets all the way out to the far lane. D-man cross ice pass, and now grab that middle ice. Coach will absorb this on the way, and now it's a back pass. It's not just a drop pass. You want to leave this thing out there, and it's on the tape every single time. This guy can hammer the shot, the original player, or what he can do is he can go ahead and try to find that guy on the rush. And this player, the 2 that made the drop pass, what he's going to do is he's going to work for proper side. So coach goes at him. Coach gives him a stick. Jump around that coach and go to that far post. You might get a rebound. You might get a pass. Here it is in action. Last clip of the day. It's Hughes to York, right on the money. Back to Hughes for highlight reel goal. And so, that'll tie things up for today. And there's a bunch of people I'd like to thank, but I'll try to keep it tight and as concise as possible. First off, the Coaches Association for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very, very much. Secondly, I would like to thank my assistant coaches here at the program and and all the coaches here at the program for that matter. My assistants, Greg Moore, Nick Four, Kevin Lind, Mike Leone, Brent Darnell, the other head coach at the program, Seth Appert, and then my ride or die associate, Dan Highnote, who was with me the whole way here through this journey. It is truly, truly outstanding to have Dan and his support. Thank you all to the coaches, and lastly, the players. And I think so much admiration for those players, and so much love for these guys. And I hope that that everyone out there that's watching this really appreciated the presentation as well. I know it was started off about a year ago when I had my son born, and started breaking down about 4,000 scoring chances and over 600 some goals. And this is the everything, the fruits of the labor coming to fruition today. And I hope you had as much fun watching it as I had putting it together.